Hey everyone, and welcome back to Master Sight. Today we have the fifth and final round of the KCGT, where I face off against a familiar face in Austin Howell and his Undead. So for those that have watched the channel for a while, they know that Austin and I always tend to meet each other in our regional events that we're both at. I think this is the fourth or fifth time he's been on the channel. So and he always plays undead. It feels like so. But this time he's taken a little bit different flavor, and he's attributed the change to actually my Nightstalkers. He said he wanted to play something similar style, just a lot of chaff slash trash units. So let's go ahead and take a look at his list, and we'll see if Undead can be as trashy as Nightstalkers can. So Austin starts off with 3 hordes of zombies. That's a pretty good comparison to scarecrows. But then he has 4 troops of revenants. Yeah, I mean, these are kind of butcher flesh rippers, I guess, that just are tankier and cheaper, but not as mobile. He's got 4 troops of soul reavers. That'll do. Yeah, those are when I used to run reapers. These are just better reapers, that's for sure. One of those troops has blood of the old king, so yeah, that's gonna be scary. And then he has 4 regiments of whites, which are quite a bit worse soul flares. I think. I think they're decent. I actually like regiments of whites, but if you just do a direct comparison, they are cheaper than soul flares. They do, have the crush 2 brutal built in, but 9 attacks versus 12 kind of evens that out. And there's so many times that wind blast is really effective, and speed 8 over speed 7 is going to be a thing. So. But then here's where the list really falls apart. You can't really say it's a trash list if you have individuals that don't score. So he's got a Revenant King with a red command dice and Surge. He's got a Necro that inspires Surge and Bane Chant, and he's got Morgoth with a red dice as well. So it brings him out to 18 drops and 25 unit strength. So he is out dropping me. I think he's the only one at the event that had more. So yeah, overall, I can definitely see the similarities in the style of list, how he built it and whatnot. But I think the lack of scoring characters is the glaring difference that I'm noticing here. So, yeah, let's hop into the game here. And there is Austin himself. So something you'll notice is Austin he has his phone over here because the Kansas City Chiefs are playing. So you know what? We got a big advantage. He is distracted. He's watching the game, listening to the game. I'm gonna cheat his ass out of so many things he's not even gonna know until he watches this battle report. So let's go ahead and dive in. So yeah, we're back on a table that looks kind of familiar. We played Stephen DeRose on this table in round 3, I believe it was. We got the same side, not necessarily by choice, and we're going to be playing a scenario that, in a lot of ways, will eventually roll out to be a similar scenario. But we're playing control for the final scenario, so. Austin's got 3 major lanes, and he's got a lot of units, a lot of secondary line to pile through with that. And then we're just going to, I don't know, kind of do the same game plan we did in the last game that we were on this table here. So, yeah, so his deployment out on the far left, he has a horde of zombies, a troop of revenants, a troop of soul flares, or not soul flares, soul reavers. White and Morgoth is out here in the center. He has another horde, another troop of revenants. He has 2 troops of Soul Reavers. The one with the token in the back has Blood of the Old Kings, and he has another white, or is it, yeah, another white regiment, and this one has the Revenant Champion for inspiring. And then out on the right, he has another horde of zombies, flanked on each side by 2 troops of revenants. He's got soul reavers and 2 more whites. And then he has his necromancer out here as well. So for me, I went with Blade of Slashing, Dreadfiend, horde of scarecrows with a troop of tormentors behind, a butcher flesh ripper. This is my Helm of the Drunken Ram, soul flares. Then I have the Portal of Despair, who I position to, hoping for that he can jump the lines through the scarecrows at some point here. Didn't really want to put him in the forest. It slows him down. So, but I feel like I've gotten better with him so far. The last 2 games, especially, I feel like he's done work. He's done really well. Got him in good positions for blocking and a big dread bubble, as well as inspiring. So. But yeah, horde of scarecrows, troop of tormentors. This is my J Boot soul flares. Another butcher flesh ripper. Horde of scarecrows, tormentors. Got then a regiment of scarecrows, tormentor. No tormentors. It's just the um, soul flares. I just put out a base because they're right behind there. And these soul flares are the Blood of the Old King. And then I stack the right with my both my lightning bolts and my hex, which Morgoth was the last drop, and Morgoth went on the opposite side of the board as my hex caster for good reasons. But doesn't mean that we're not going to hex something still. So yeah, so this is deployment, roll off for first turn, and I have been fortunately very lucky with first turn rolls. In this case, I lost the first turn roll, but because it is control, Austin did give me first turn. Which honestly, I'm glad he made the choice because I always see the benefit on both sides for control. It is especially with an army like mine with Wind Blast, being able to manipulate where people are and putting unit strength in the appropriate control zones at the end of the game is sometimes the difference between winning or losing this scenario. So I likely would have picked going second because he is a slow, shambling army anyway. I'm not going to lose much for tempo if he goes first. So he picked. I went first, and we're gonna reduce the amount of real estate he has. Realistically, unless something goes horribly wrong, I don't expect to let him across the center line. So he's going to have to just fight for the three sectors on his side of the board. But yeah, this is where we're going. Inspiring from the portal is always going to be out on the far right. I believe I put it out on the regiment to start, but it's always where I need it on the right hand side of the board at this point. And yeah, otherwise, nothing too special. We went ahead and did some lightning bolts into the Revenant troop because we had clear lines of sight to it. Also, it was out of inspiring range, so if we happened to get a lucky nerve roll, we could pick up a unit turn 1 with some long range shooting, and then Austin can feel the real pain of the trash army when you get shot. But yeah, so positioning is just keeping options open more than anything right now. This is Austin's movement on turn 1, so he just moves everybody up to come through the gaps that he has here. and over here as well. But and he doesn't have any offensive spells. He doesn't really want to surge anybody forward because I'm already in positions that I could hit flanks if he exposes them. But the main issue that Austin was doing, again, watching his phone, too worried about the Chiefs, he did expose a very crucial flank on turn one, bottom of turn one here. So turn two, this is my movement. And over on the left, really bad picture. Sorry, we're just, again, I want him to come out from behind the impassable a little bit more before I engage. Um, and also, my hordes were not in range to get in there. The hordes are going to be really useful in this game because outside of the Soul Reaver troops, there's really not enough attacks or efficiency from any of his other units to be able to deal with them effectively. And I feel like the opposite is not the case for me. His zombies are absolutely something I'm glad that he has. Whether it's I go in and I put enough attacks into him and kill him, because all my stuff has very efficient high amounts of attacks, or um, the other plan is I'm just going to block them up, like here in the center. My plan is this Portal of Despair jump the lines this turn because I want to fight zombies and just sit there all game and Radiance of Life and Life Leech against the Defense 2 unit and just love it. So that is my ultimate plan here. Um, yeah. So on the right, we can see this is where the mistake was made. So my soul flares who were sitting in the pond here were just in 16 inches of his unit back here, who was touching the forest, and we jumped the lines, hit the flank. We are yeah, we're loving that. And this is the J booted unit. You can see I will be touching the force, so I did pop the J boots. This is a kill I absolutely wanna be able to capitalize on, and we do. So killed the white unit immediately out of the gate. Put ourselves into a pretty good position to just kind of block up this flank. And ultimately, I think that will allow me to just kind of run through this flank. I have several more units than him out here. I think I outnumber his scoring units by 2 or 3. So our goal is to kind of force the issue out here now. We are in a position where there's only Soul Reavers in the back line that are close enough, so I'm not afraid of getting surged from the center of the board. But he can surge me from this unit or turn around this unit. But big thing I did is I got the Hex off this turn. So this Necromancer with Surge 6 is the only caster that could support out here. And he's Hexed, so if he really wants to surge into me, which I think he kind of has to at this point, he will be taking damage. And then I can easily take off the Necromancer after he's taken some damage from the Hex wounds, and then there's no inspiring out here, just makes it that much more in my favor, and hopefully should be able to pick up these units on the flank sooner rather than later. So this is how the board looks going into bottom of 2 for Austin, and this is how he moves. So on the left, he just moves up to get on the hill with the zombies and just kind of create a battle line over here. Keeps everything in his front for obvious reasons. In the center, he does push forward a little bit, but he is still somewhat protecting his flanks with these impassable pieces. But he's also congesting his line to where he's not going to be able to get off like double charges on the portal effectively if I go in with the portal. So yeah, I'm okay with that, but I think he moved up just about as far as he could. So it's not like he had other options outside of just backing up or staying where he was, which um, you know, the scenario's lost if he does that. So He does go into the Flesh Ripper with a hindered charge, and he does position for the Surge, which he gets successfully. In fact, he gets extremely well. He rolled 4 out of 6 successes. So he took 8 wounds on a Necromancer. That means that just an easy Mind Fog is enough for Snake Eyes twice on him. Yeah. So combat, he does get the waiver on my Soul Flares, which is, is about right. I'm perfectly fine with that. They were hindered, so would have liked to fight him for one turn, but they did their job already, and they're gonna keep these guys tied up for a turn or two. For this turn, I believe I actually gave the inspiring to this butcher. So that was my my way to keep these guys inspired for this turn. So yeah, lots of movement then on my turn 3. So on the left, I kind of looked at options and decisions. I decided, do I want to try to, go all in on this horde and pop it, or do I want to, try to block up? What's the way? I have a lot of tools out here. What's the best way to use them? In the end, I decided I think I want to just chaff this side of the board as much as possible, especially because Morgoth's out here. He's kind of the wild card that could really swing this side for him. And I'm not really outnumbering him out here, so it's simply a delay tactic more than anything. Keep my options open for this Soul Flare unit, and then I position in such a way that Morgoth can't jump my lines and get behind me without eating a charge. So I charge Butcher and Horde into just his troop of Revenants. I'm not expecting to kill them at all. If I was trying to kill him, I would have gotten this guy in as well, because it was a flank charge. So I probably would have done flank front and then the Horde to Horde. So just going for a blocking charge out there. In the center, our goal again is blocking charge, but I think we do it much more efficiently with this. So we got the matchup we exactly want, the Portal of Despair into a horde of zombies, and it's in between impassable pieces, so there's no possibility for double charges on the kickback. The regiment or the horde went into the troop. Again, just I think a little bit of a poor design and positioning on Austin's part, where these troops of Soul Reavers behind can't even see my horde because of the positioning here. So even if he wanted to double charge, I don't think he can with the space, but he can't even see. So there's just several things kind of incorrect or that could be improved upon in the positioning here, which allows me to really abuse the benefits of my army, which is my leapers can see. So I'm moving them in flanking positions, and soul flares are moving over. In fact, they hit the flank over here, but they will have the ability to see charges in the middle as well after this. So. And then the right flank, we were wavered here, but we're blocking charge with the regiment here. We're lightning bolting, and we were able to get around this turn. After we mind fog this guy, no more inspiring. Lightning bolt, these guys are up to like 8 wounds or so now, so it'll be an easy kill, but we're out of charge range as well. If we take out the surge out here, our being in the flanks and everything is just going to go our way for sure. So yeah, in the center, we wind blast these guys backwards a little bit. Shooting, we were able to pick up Necromancer and the troop out here. Combat, we picked up the troop of Revenants, and we picked up this troop of Revenants, which I was not planning on. Oops. Yeah, so I back up the Butcher a little bit. And this is in the process of him moving. So the horde was still in my front. That was the whole purpose of the double charge. But I back up the butcher so he can't get charged, and I'm just going to let him take off my horde of soul reavers, if you want, or soul scarecrows. And we did successful blocking in the middle. So this is what it looks like going into Austin's bottom of 3. And that's, a lot of stuff is just blocked up. But on the left, he does the double charge. On the right, he flank charges the regiment, which we saw coming, but we have it set up where there's a rear here or a rear here. Yeah. And he kills the horde. Oh no, that's kind of what we expected to happen. Maybe they live a turn, but it's I think it's perfectly fine. It opens up our options here. He does kill the soul flares that had jumped the line before, but in the center he was stuck, and he killed the regiment here. He backed up his horde because it'll be a hinder charge for some things going into it. And there was no good option, so he kept the Dread Fiend in the rear. So yeah, on my turn 4, our blocking charges were successful. Realistically, Austin had the ability to back up his units of Soul Reavers, and but he couldn't pivot after that. He was just kind of on top of himself. Didn't have enough space to position because right now there's 2 units of flyers that can see and hit his backline effectively over here. So yeah, we are going in for another good round for us. We're liking our options and we're taking advantage of it. So on the left here, I took the Butcher into the Soul Reaver Infantry, and then I triple charged the Horde, just looking to overwhelm him at this point. Ideally, I kill the Horde this turn. Even if he kills something with his whites the turn after and kills the Butcher, I take a piece off the next turn. He takes a piece off. It's just, hopefully it's an even trade at this point is what we're looking at, because I feel like I'm winning the other 2 engagements. In the center, reposition these guys because we got a or a flank charge onto his Blood of the Old King unit with our Blood of the Old King unit. And yeah, and then we're just engaging here. I took a charge into here, mostly for positioning, and then front rear here. So combat went as expected. We got that kill, reform. We got that kill and reform. We wavered this troop over here, which was excellent, and we did kill the horde, which allowed me to position, keeping my weakest unit or unit most likely to die in a position where they can't be charged. So this is what it looks like, bottom of 4, and Austin goes into the Soul Reavers or Soul Flares with his whites. Morgoth's going to be doing some Drain Life stuff to kind of influence that combat as well. In the center, he turns his whites around, which he's not able to get closer, but he's going for a 4-inch surge to try and stop these guys from doing the dirty things they're doing. And yeah, it's just all bogged down from here. So he does a decent amount of wounds and ends up wavering my Soul Flares here. But that was it. His surge did not come through for him. But he did do big damage on my horde over here. I think he did like 10 wounds to my horde with his zombie horde. So that was entertaining. But man, like this guy, I think he has 1 wound on him. He's just Radiance of Lifing and getting like 2 life leeches back a turn. And these zombies only do like 2 to 4 wounds to him every turn. So he is just gonna be there for eternity. So yeah, my turn 5, and we hit the flank, we hit the front after backing out. We're gonna countercharge with our Flesh Ripper, and at this point, it looks like we might have good chances of winning the left flank, where we were really going for the draw, and then we're definitely winning in the center over here. We got the Dread Fiend in position where he's gonna be chewing up a flank shortly. But I was able to get a double charge because Leapers can see over my scarecrows. Yeah. So aiming to try and kill the troop, keeping the horde bogged down. We hit the scarier unit in the troop of Revenant or Soul Reavers. This time we're popping the Blood of the Old King, and we're giving them Furious Charge. We're gonna say your 11-13 is not gonna stand up to us, and we're going for the kill. I didn't have likely odds to kill the horde, so instead I focused on his whites back here that are uninspired. I do have Dread just in range, and I didn't want to lose the horde of zombies, so I ended up backing off so that he's hindered on the charge, hoping that I can live one more turn, because then I'll have rear charges if I kill the whites. So that is the game plan, and wouldn't you know, uh, stuff's happening. I just took pictures again. Stuff's happening. So we killed both troops in the middle as expected. We killed the whites on the far left, and we wavered the Soul Reaver infantry again. So we're ahead there. We did kill the other whites on the right, so we're looking at rear flank or rear and flank here. So really, it's just clean up here. Bottom of 5, Austin only has a couple units that can fight, so he puts them in, and they do the best that they can. But sadly, the best they can is not good enough. They don't get a kill. He does get a kill on the Soul Flares, but man, those guys did their job. They killed a Revenant troop on the right after getting a flank. They killed two Soul Reaver infantry troops in the middle. Man, they did work for sure. And then on the left, yeah, Morgoth ended up. He just said, "You know what? I'm done with this. I'm not going to let you kill Morgoth." So he actually flew Morgoth behind the building back here. Um, and yeah, so it it really is kind of over. And the mind screeches you can see here are just going to score. One of them's in the bottom right. One of them's in the bottom center. And then I decide, well, we need to score on the bottom left, so we do that with these units. We finish off the troop up there. We finish off the horde. Yeah, the troop on the far left dies. The horde on the far right dies. We kill the horde in the center. Uh, but I did not kill the whites here. But we will if there's a turn 7. Bottom 6, he kills me, and that is where the game ends. So in the end, I don't have a picture of it, but in the end, I have both left hand sides. I have both right hand sides after the kills. I have the top center because I have the Horde, Dread Fiend, and Portal of Despair left to just his 2 unit strength. And then both Mind Screeches are holding there. So got all 7 points for the 6 corridors. And we got a +2 for the kill portion of it as well. So, yeah, it was just the game plan. The couple early flanks really opened up the game for us. I think it was going to be a hard fought battle anyway, just with the control scenario, a slower army. Trying to get across the board and not give up flanks against me, especially when you're having to go past these impassable pieces. It's really tough. So I think that we played it well, but Austin was kind of handicapped into having to go through the game plan. And realistically, you can't just deploy everything like in this one lane and try to push out from there. So um, yeah, we'll take the win, but this one really felt like, and our dice were with us the whole time. Game plan worked. We got flanks. It was just kind of a slaughter in the end, but we'll blame it on the Chiefs. Austin was clearly distracted the whole game. Mahomes, I think, got an ankle injury, so I think Austin was crying at one point, but not because of Kings of War. So I really feel bad for the guy. But no, Austin's always a great game, a lot of fun. I do kind of like his list, but we talked. I think that if you're basing it off of what this Night Stalker list can do, I told him I think Wraith troops are the way to go. Instead of these Revenant troops, you got to get some flying in there. You got to get a little speed. You got to get a little bit more mobility. Just the slogging foot soldiers isn't enough. I don't think so. So I think he's going to retweak it and try to pull out version 2.0 sometime in the future, which I'm looking forward to. But so that is where our tournament ends. We did go 5-0. Scored 3 20-point victories, a 16-point, and a 15-point victory as well. So overall, really happy with the event, really happy with how the army performed. It took a little bit of time, but I think the Portal of Despair is a very good unit with the right matchups and being put in the right positions. The Inspiring mattered. The Radiance of Life was very useful. I think the one thing that we didn't really get to experience is a heavy counter or opponent shooting army. The portal not having stealthy and it being a Titan, it's definitely going to attract some arrows, but at the same time, it's a 120-point support piece more than anything. So if people are killing that, they're not shooting the things that really matter in this list. So the extra Dread Fiend was very useful. The extra Tormentor troop was very good. I actually liked not having 4 hordes of infantry, but 3 hordes in a regiment. It helped us in deployment and positioning to put the regiment in positions that our horde otherwise couldn't have fit or would be going through terrain. So I like all those things. The biggest drawback and thing that I struggled with was that third Butcher Flesh Ripper is they always have value, and even though the portal is a pseudo Butcher Flesh Ripper because he has the high defense and he can sit and tank, he just doesn't have the mobility. So I'm unsure on that, but overall, like I said, I do like the list quite a bit. So very happy with the performance. Coming back to a classic after making a fool of myself trying to play a Ratkin army that I have no business playing. It just felt kind of good. So in the end, I did win the event, even though my painting score was very poor because I had to borrow some units. So I think I like this army enough that I'm starting to look at units, which is kind of weird to say because these Nightstalkers haven't had any additions or adjustments for 3 whole years. So yeah, we might get a refresh, a slight tune-up with the army, but yeah. My next event isn't for a while though, so I don't have to make those decisions immediately. So this will be the last battle report of 2024. But I am considering making a 2024 recap video. Still kind of in the works on what that would look like. But if that's something you're interested in, please leave some comments here and any suggestions. I'll definitely consider and might try to add might try to do a little something new besides just a battle report video, and I think it might be fun. So. But yeah, that's enough from me. Appreciate you all for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one as usual. Bye.